Welcome to the Go Slow to Go Fast Lifestyle Podcast, the space where we intentionally slow down so we can go fast when we're ready. I'm Kendra Chapman, your host, and this show is for busy parents, professionals, creatives, and anyone who's craving a more intentional way of living, especially in the everyday moments that shape our health, our families, and our sense of home-cooked meals. Today's conversation brings us into one of my favorite places to explore slow living, the kitchen. My guest is Chef Blackwell Smith, founder of Lucky Cajun, a small batch spice company rooted in craftsmanship, family, and real deal flavor. His story begins in high school, sharing meals with friends in their kitchens, in their homes, discovering food that tasted bold, alive, and full of color, and eventually led him to formal culinary school training at the Culinary Arts Institute of Louisiana. But Lucky Cajun wasn't born from ambition alone. It came from frustration. Too many spice blends filled with salt, sugar, and fillers that promised flavor but fell flat. So Blackwell did what slow craft demands. He started making his own. Real spices, no shortcuts, no junk, small batches made by hand. The original blend, it's called the Black Label, came from cooking for his son, another picky eater who started asking for that season on everything. And that recipe never changed. And Lucky Cajun grew from there. In this episode, we talk about slow craft cooking, the power of fresh spices, cooking as a form of care, and how food, when made with intention, has a way of bringing people together. Whether you love cooking or simply love eating well, this conversation is about more than just spices. It's about slowing down enough to taste life fully. Let's dive in. Well, Blackwell, I just want to say thank you for joining me on the Go Slow to Go Fast Lifestyle Podcast today. But before we get into it, can you share with our listeners and viewers a little bit about how you're going slow these days?
Okay. So at the end of last year, we had tried a lot of different things in our business, and I'd done a lot of traveling and was trying to do content. I was trying to do this and trying to do that. I couldn't really put a finger on what was going to work. Now, I guess any one of those things could have worked, but the problem is I was spreading myself too thin and I wasn't focusing on one thing. So I kind of had the spread. Like I was like, okay, here's all the shiny objects. Here's all the things that could work. So I've been doing a lot of thinking and trying to identify like where my skills are at and how I can best turn that focus into one thing that I focus on instead of, multiple things. And then inside that, like, how do I do that one thing? What is the main thing in that one thing that I can do even better? And so I'm not like just doing busy work just because I feel like I need to, well, you got to do this, you got to do that. What I've been really focused on identifying what busy work is and what is essential and what isn't essential. And so I haven't really done anything since I've got back from Florida. Like I was in Florida doing events for 3 weeks and I just got back Monday, but I've kind of paused and gone, okay, let's really like before kind of putting things back in order, getting everything ready for the year, that kind of thing. But I haven't done anything creative or to grow the business as of yet because I'm just kind of wanting to make sure I got my head on straight before I start. Because I could be going, hey, let's make this content. And then I went, well, wait a second. Like I have this great script. I know it's going to be good. But what if I change how I'm approaching it? What if I change like my emotion behind it? Does that change the effect of it? And I think it does. And so I'm just working on making sure that I am focused in the right way instead of just going like, let's get it done. Let's go, how can I get it done the best as possible? Because if I'm doing it the best as possible, then it's going to have a greater outcome. And by taking my time, I think I'll have a better outcome.
I appreciate you kind of walking us through your thought process on that because, it's good to hear your thinking around it and like what you want to focus on next.
Yeah, I think it's content. It's content because what I realized is I'm not in the quality product business, even though that's what we have at markets. That works because I'm I'm selling it. They taste it. They understand it. It's clear value proposition, right? Online, guess what? They don't get to talk to me. They don't get to see my passion about it. They don't get to ask me what it's good on. They don't get to smell it. They don't get to taste it. It's not the same kind of environment. Like these events, it's exciting. There's stuff happening. There's like, it's lively. I can't recreate that on the website. So what I've been realizing is that we were making content that was like shorts and stuff and reels and things like that, trying to get those going. But what I realized was I need to focus more on tutorials to show, to build trust. So like where I'm at now is I'm in the trust building business. I need to make sure that people understand like the value of what we offer in a different way, not just here at this event, here you taste it, you can smell it, buy it. That's great. That's not scalable. I can only be at one event at a time, and you can only have a few people that are good at that at a time either. It's hard to, grow like that because you can it's more just of the same thing. It's not really feasible, I
Right.
don't think. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, you're a chef, you're in the
Hmm.
food industry, and you get in front of people a lot. Like you just shared, you were at a trade show or you were doing different events for the last 3
It's
weeks. And now
festivals.
you're back.
Festivals.
Festivals.
Yes.
Okay. So you're getting yourself out there. You can get in front of people and share your product and show them how excited you are about it. And you sent me samples. My boys and I tried all three, and we have a favorite, but we also like to try it and mix it up a little bit
Right.
and do some layers. I have this dish that I've been doing for a few times now, carnitas, because I'll go to the restaurants and I'll try carnitas and I like them, but it's just not exactly what I want. And surprisingly, I don't know what I was thinking. I was thinking it's going to be, better on shrimp, chicken, all those things. I put your jalapeno spices,
Right.
your spice pack on the
Yeah.
carnitas.
Yeah.
It took it to a whole nother level. It
Awesome.
was great. Hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
wonderful. I'm glad you
Yeah.
had a good experience.
Yeah. So we like the jalapeno mix the best, but we also love the Cajun and the Greek mix that you sent as well
Mhm.
is good on vegetables in our
All right.
opinion. But, we're just one family. So I want to, make sure that we touch on all the different things that you offer. But first, I want to get into your story. How did you get a taste of that food
Okay.
flair?
Right. So I went to high school in Baton Rouge, and I
Okay.
fell in love with the food and like the tastes of it. So like, yeah, I was in Louisiana, yes. And so one second. So then I just enjoyed the flavors, and it was just completely different than anything I had experienced here in Chattanooga, which is where I grew up. And it just kind of stuck. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. Like, sometimes whenever you experience something, it changes your way of viewing something, and it totally changed the way I view food and
Yeah.
and
And I think
how.
I have Mardi Gras in my mind because we just had Mardi Gras recently. And I'm
Mhm.
thinking, New Orleans. But when I think of Louisiana, I think of bright color, flavorful foods and spices. So it's probably the first thing that you got to experience is
It
being in
is
someone's
true.
kitchen.
Well, it's kind of like the color thing is probably something you're thinking like the Mardi Gras kind of thing because
Hmm.
it's flamboyant like celebration. So, but the food in a lot of ways is like really deep and rich. Like it's a lot of like well cooked things that are like when I mean like well cooked, meaning like it's not like a quick cook, like it's simmered, it's stewed. And that just develops these really deep, rich, unique flavors that you can't really get from, quick cooking things. And not that there aren't some quick cook things, but I think like things like jambalaya and
Hmm.
etouffee, red beans and rice and gumbo, those types of dishes that people associate with the culture there are very, very different than anything else. Like it's such a different type of flavors. I might be wandering here, but like the definitely the flavors are big and vibrant, but like the technique is kind of low and slow.
Yes. And that's
Yes.
all, more the reason why I wanted you to come on the show. I think we're a good fit for that conversation of there are ways that you can make food that you need to prepare quicker than 15 hours being in a slow cooker
Yeah.
and make it taste good. And I think one of them is getting your spice mixes and putting them on, your
Right?
recipes that you already have, but you also have cookbooks. So I want to get into all that too. But so you were in Louisiana as a high schooler. You
Mhm,
visited other people's kitchens. You went to
mhm,
friends' houses. So
mhm.
what took you kind of down the road of being in food services and thinking I'm going to learn how to cook and do this for a living?
It was I'm not sure. I'm not honestly, it was this kind of it was like, "Hey, let's go maybe I should go to culinary school." It was
Yeah.
kind of the start of, like, a discussion that happened with the family.
Okay.
And then we just settled on that one. I mean, it's just how it worked out. Because
Yeah.
I was there, I already had a basis in it a little bit. And I mean, I worked at restaurants for a long time, and I just kinda got tired of it.
Hmm.
It's a lot of work, and it's not really we glamorize it a lot, with a lot of what people see on TV is, like,
Hmm.
not anything of what it's really like. It's really a
Yeah.
grind. It's really
Yeah. Yeah. You're on
they
your feet all day. You're prepping way before you even open the restaurant. I mean,
right, you're
I was in
never
food
caught up.
service. No, I was in food services for a minute as a waitress and I got to, I tipped my team in the kitchen because I knew that they worked their butts off. But I mean, I've never been a level chef or even a sous chef, any of that prep kind of stuff. But I know there's a lot that goes into it that you don't see. And especially when you're watching a TV show.
Right, it's not
Yeah.
they're just showing the food. They're just
Yeah.
like and that's fine, and that's I it a lot of those things like the Gordon Ramsay show where he's like Hell's Kitchen, that's also the other opposite end of exaggeration. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like that either. Like,
Right.
there can't be you can't function a kitchen where it's like insanity.
Mm-mm.
But there is times where things get really out of control, and it's just
Well, it's hard on
it's
the body. I can't imagine sustaining that.
I know, right. At some point, it's not at some point, you have to step away from it because
Mhm.
you can't
Mm-mm.
it's too physical, you can't keep doing it. If you do keep
Right.
doing it, you end up having problems.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
end up you
Yeah.
end up having,
Yeah.
health issues and stuff.
Right. Right. Because you're either not sleeping enough or you're not eating well enough. Because a lot of chefs, I'm sure, I was watching a couple of shows recently where major chefs in Korea, it was called Culinary Class Wars, and they had at the end of like amazing number of competitions, they had to cook something for themselves. And they were like, all of them would say, I don't do that on a regular basis. I don't cook for myself. How sad is that?
Right. It's weird. It's
Yeah.
because you've already done
You don't want to when you get home.
you don't wanna, you're like,
I'm
"Leave
sure.
leave me alone."
Yeah. 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 So you decided you wanted to stay in food services, but shift to a different side of it.
It kinda became first I stopped doing it, and I kinda just did random things for a while. And I really didn't have much direction at all. I just knew I didn't wanna cook in a kitchen anymore with that sort of situation.
Yeah.
But then, during COVID came and my son actually started asking for the seasoning on food. And so that was interesting because he wasn't accustomed to asking for like a specific flavor. He would be like, "I just want this. I want chicken. I want pizza." That kind of he never asked for a seasoning or a sauce or a flavor. And so that was the first time I recall it happening, and so it was weird. And so it kind of stuck with me as like, well, if I love it and he loves it, picky chef dad and picky kid both like the same thing, then there's something to it. Like, maybe I got something here. And
Hmm.
the recipe for the Black Label, I don't know if you have one of those. That's the original blend, and that is the we stopped changing the recipe. Like, I wrote down the recipe and left it at that moment. I was like, let's just leave this alone. And then through COVID, we tried getting other people to make it for us. I kind of came to the idea that we needed to do it ourselves because
Hmm.
they weren't going to be able to do it like how I wanted to do it. And
Yeah. Because I know enough to be dangerous about when you want to start a business in the food industry and you have to figure out how you can scale and mass produce your product. Like you said, you're not going to get the same level of product of quality if you if you let somebody else do it, at least at this point. So you are making small batches.
Mhm.
You're making them from fresh vegetables that are good quality and figuring out how to package them
Well,
and get them out there.
I'm not getting things and drying them.
Mm,
I'm not like processing like that. What I'm doing is buying things that are ready to grind and then
gotcha.
grinding them up because I've also realized that like what's the scope of the thing I need to deal with? What is exactly important in what I'm doing and what can
Hmm.
somebody else do?
Hmm.
So to me it wasn't process, drying veggies or picking or growing those types of things. It was to focus on doing the thing I know how to do, which is like how to make the blends taste good.
Yes, and they do. Because
Awesome. Thank
the
you.
three that we've tried, we definitely like. We enjoy them. And I'm gonna have to get more of the jalapeno mix because it's almost gone.
All
Okay.
right.
Yeah. So you've got a customer in me. Okay.
No, wonderful.
So yeah. So that slow craft philosophy is kind of like where I want to go next. In a culture where, values are speedy, like you said, you can't shortcut meals if you want them to taste good most of
Right.
the time, right?
Right.
So what does that slow craft cooking mean to you? Like, how does that look for you?
Well, we were talking about taking things that take a long time. So you're talking about a crock pot. Like what I
Yeah.
think that people should get a Instapot because you could
Yes.
slow cook meals quickly with pressure. Like that increases the cooking. So I recommend getting one of those things if you
Mm-hmm.
they're not that expensive. Most people can
No.
afford them, and they're great. They're easy to use. But I also think it's planning. It's a lot of times people. I think what people do is they go, "I'm hungry," and then they're like, "Well, I could either go to the store and uh, buy something, and then cook something, and then not even know what I'm doing, or I just go out and get something to eat at a
Mm-hmm.
restaurant." And so it's
Yeah.
easy to do that. It's easy just to order food. Oh, I'm tired. I want to think about it. So, like, I think it has to go back to planning and being prepared and making that decision to be aware that I'm going to have to eat, that I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
have to like take the time to do this. And I guess there's a lot of different ways you could do it. You could meal prep, you could
Mm-hmm.
like have things set up to where it's the same thing, kind of, or variations of the same thing every day. Or you just write it out and do it and buy the
Yeah.
ingredients that you want it to do it. And so I guess it's planning. I guess it's a shift in the way you're thinking about what you're doing, but, like, Instant Pots are great because they can cook it and then hold it warm for
Mm-hmm.
when you get back. Same with the crock pot. I mean, you can do the same thing.
Yeah.
And there's also there are some ovens now that you can do that with, countertop versions and, in counter versions where you can kinda, like, program it to do different things but those are a little more expensive, I think. But
Yeah.
you can I think it's just a decision. It's a decision to go, "This is important, and I need to do that." And also, guess what? It's a heck of a lot cheaper.
Yes, because grocery prices are ridiculous. So, and we all know this. So it's not
Right.
for the
Well, going
team.
out to eat is more ridiculous. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
it used to you think about it now, you take people out to eat, you could be just looking at, like, spending $100. And
Mm-hmm.
you may go, "Hey, that's expensive at the grocery store," but, like, really, to make a meal, depending on what you buy, it's not
Right.
gonna be more than
Yeah.
$30 to make a meal.
Yeah.
Unless you're buying, like, lobster tail or filet mignon or whatever that is, like,
Right.
you will spend more
Yeah.
money, but for a general meal,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to spend tons of money.
And I keep
Onion
going back to your jalapeno spice, but I used an
Let's talk
Instapot.
about that.
I have already used, I'd already made my carnitas with your
Mhm.
spice
Okay.
for the jalapenos kit with that. And I had those in the fridge. So I had made those a
Mhm.
couple of days before. Then I used the Instapot to put like Brussels sprouts and green peppers and red peppers and onions all in the Instapot for like,
Okay.
I think I cooked them for like 2 hours on like
Right.
high.
Right.
And then I got the meat out of the fridge that I had already made a couple of days before. And I put a little bit of that meat in there for like another 30 minutes on the Instapot setting. And it was all brand new again. And it was great. It tasted fresh. It had the layers of spice from your
Uh-huh.
jalapeno mix. It was great. And my kids ate it. That's the best part of it.
That is the best part when you make something that people like, right?
And vegetables on top of it. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, you can take a meal that you've already prepared and make it different,
You
with
can
a
totally do
couple of
that.
different, ingredients.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can switch it up.
Yeah. And you have cookbooks that kind of take the anxiety out of it. You had sent me, I'm going to do a reach and grab your
It's okay.
holiday
I
cookbook.
have it too. I have it here.
Okay.
We can
All
both
right.
show it. I guess,
Okay.
well, it's backwards. Mine's
Mhm.
backwards. Yours is
Yeah.
not.
No.
It's a mirror.
And yours looks normal on my end. So,
Okay.
yeah. So no BS holiday cookbook. That's just one of your cookbooks that you have and you
That's
walk
the
people
first
through.
one.
Okay.
And that is the first one. This is another moment where I slowed down. I
Mhm.
was pushing. I set a date to have the second one out. I'd had this aggressive date. And then I stepped back for a second and went, why am I rushing this? Like, what is the point of this? Like, if I'm rushing this, am I
Right.
putting the right type of energy in it that I'm telling people to slow down and I'm rushing. So I was like, that's not it. Like, I had to slow down and kind of
Mhm.
take a minute to go, is not put that undue pressure that was unnecessary. It was just unnecessary.
Right.
Yeah.
Agreed. I think that's, it's just a hunch, but I think that's probably 90% of the reason why people would rather just get takeout or go to a restaurant, instead of trying to cook because they're just worried they're going to get it wrong. And
My gosh. So this is what we figured out. This is what we totally we took a survey with our email list
okay.
and we got information and we asked questions and they filled out questions. And what we realized was that there is this risk of it. Like,
Mhm.
I don't understand. I don't relate to it. So I don't see the
Mhm.
risk. So the risk is, one, is it going to taste good? And if
Yeah.
it doesn't taste good, guess what? Disappointment is public because
Mhm.
your friends or your family or your coworkers are tasting it, right? And so
Yes.
you're not
Right.
there. That's no fun. You want it to be good. Then there's the
Mhm.
risk of, I spent all this money and now it
Mhm.
tastes like crap.
Yeah.
Oh,
There is a risk.
that's like it's the other side of that. And then
Yeah.
there's the risk that, like, I spent all this time. So I spent time, money,
Mhm.
and, how I feel, other people feel about me or talk about me. That's that is the reason. Those are definitely the reasons why people push towards, well, let's just let somebody else do it because I don't want to go through that pressure. I don't.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of interesting. It's like that we kind of figured that out.
Hmm.
And and that's kind of how and that's why we decided to make a book that was more geared towards teaching how to cook, and it's more for the person using it as opposed to being something that's like, hey, look at me, look at my fancy dishes. It's like,
Yeah.
no, here, look at yourself. Like, how are you preparing it? Like, does this benefit you
Because
as
you
the
don't have
reader?
pictures. You don't have pictures in here.
There's no
So
pretty pictures.
you're not making people feel bad right away.
No, right. Like, do you realize that that's not even realistic? Those pictures are not even real food most of the time. They're like
Mhm.
sprayed with little bottles and the milk is like glue. Like, this, it's all
Yeah.
sorts of crazy stuff to make it look like something it's not. And so
Right.
we've set this unreasonable standard or expectation or whatever you want to call it. And that's not even reasonable. Not that there aren't people that are out there that don't make beautiful food. That's not what I'm
Mhm.
saying. There's obviously people out there that make beautiful food, but most of the time in the cookbook, there's
Staged
augmentation. It's
beyond. Yeah.
beyond edible.
Mhm.
It's
Well,
not. It's
right.
not edible.
Right. And I think, you mentioned that you wanted to build trust with your clients and viewers, future people that are going to hopefully buy this cookbook and others and your
Right.
spices because you want to show it's going to continue to give you meals. If you follow this process, you'll see it's like a formula. If you
Well,
follow the algorithm,
right.
right, you can
Well,
make
I
good food.
think the other part of this is that, so when you learn how to cook, right? So you have recipes, right? And people
Hmm.
go, well, you follow the recipe.
Hmm.
Well, there's a different part. There's two parts that come before the recipe.
And I
That is
don't follow recipes, so I'm a little different.
that's okay too. But
Yeah.
so there's the ingredients, there's your equipment, and then there's techniques. And you add those together, those are the building blocks of your of your recipe. So like if you don't know how to grill a piece of chicken, guess what? There's no amount of recipe that's going to fix the grilled chicken, right? So that's not, so it's,
That's
you have to,
technique.
it's technique
Hmm.
and it's based in understanding that. And once you get techniques, then you can apply those to any recipe. Like,
Hmm.
so
Yeah,
that's kind of what I've been thinking about is like, how can we teach technique and how can we help people build confidence in that so then they can like do like how you do and you just cook however you just go here's
right.
some stuff, let's put it in there, let's go, let's have fun.
Yeah.
I
It's
think once
trial and error, to a degree. You've got to try some things and take the risk.
you kind of have to mess up to learn how to do it, because if you don't
Yeah.
mess up, guess what, you don't know what you want to fix. You don't,
Hmm.
if you get it right the first time, like no one ever does that, that doesn't
Right.
exist.
Because you've got to recreate it. That's the key. If you make an amazing meal, then you got to figure out how to recreate that again. Part of the fun.
Right, but if you're not following a if you're not following a recipe, then chances are you're not gonna, it's never gonna be exactly the same.
Yeah, and if you find something that you made really well and you don't want to forget, then write down what you did to change the
Right.
recipe, kind of out in the margins. Like I did this recipe, but I changed
Right, I
this.
changed this, I put this much tomato in it instead of this much tomato, or I added more onion, or
Yeah.
I added, yes, taking notes is good, that's why they made it recipe cards,
Yes. And I
right?
know I'm one of those people. I'm guilty of getting stuff off the internet, and then if I really like it, then I'll write it down in a book that I
I
keep.
don't think that there's nothing wrong with getting it off the internet. There's not anything that's, I mean, if it's
Yeah.
there, it's there, it's information.
Yeah, but I don't keep those cards like our grandmothers used to. And I need to, I'm kind of building a book, whatever your strategy is that you're going to use.
Yeah, just
Hmm. Yeah.
because especially if your kids like it. If your kids like it, you totally wanna recreate it,
Yes.
so you can do it again, so they'll eat the vegetables again.
I know. It's great. It's great when your kids want to eat Brussels sprouts. You gotta, yeah, I gotta write that down.
You can be proud of that.
Your spices help. So thank you.
Well, it's, part of what we're doing. Okay, so when we talk about doing it right, what does that mean for us? That means we don't add any sugar or weird fillers or junk ingredients like corn, soy, gluten-based stuff. We don't add any anti-caking agents. So there's no stuff in there that you're going like, what is sodium dioxide? Like, what is it? What do I need that? Or titanium dioxide? You don't need that, first off. And then second, we grind our spices fresh. So on the back of the bags, it'll have a born on date. And so, can't we all agree that like fresh ground black pepper tastes better than
Yes.
stuff you get in a little can, a little McCormick can? Well, what if we treat all of the spices like that?
Hmm.
Then that's when you get what you have, the kind of experience like where you can make something taste amazing because
Yes.
you're using the best possible version of the spice. You're
Yes.
using the fresh ground version. And so it's going to taste different. It's going to
Hmm.
taste better. So that's like unless you've had fresh ground spices, it's hard for someone to even understand it because they're just like, well, it's spices. I use spices all the time. What difference
Yeah.
does it make? Well, it's like the
Well,
difference.
if you have a little garden and you've ever tried to put some fresh herbs into a mortar and pestle and grind it down to where you can actually use it, that's a lot of work. So,
Right.
and if you have it, it is.
And most people haven't experienced that. So it's kind of I don't know exactly what I'm trying to get at, but it's just, it's that building that trust isn't about us making a better quality product. It's about showing that I'm an expert and I know what I'm doing. And then once they trust me, they buy the product and then they're going to go, oh, wait, this is awesome. This guy is real deal. And so it's like kind of over delivering because they're going to kind of assume it's going to be like everything else because everything else is ground when. When was it ground? No one has a born on date. Everybody has an expiration date that's years from now. So it's
Mm.
just like, it's just junk. It's
Think about how long those spices have been, yeah, in a bottle on the shelf before
I don't
they've been
know.
bought. We don't know.
Nobody knows. I
Right.
don't think anybody knows. So
Yeah.
that's why we kind of we're focusing on being direct to customer. And so some ways this might be harder, but in other ways, we don't have to make excuses. We're not making claims that are ridiculous or like, oh, it's bold and delicious and like, well, We can actually say that. And we can say that it's not better because I'm an amazing spice blend maker. It's because our process is better. And if our process is better, it can almost be, we can almost back it up with science. Like there's plenty of studies that show that the compounds that make spices taste good and are, and health benefits to these spices are more pronounced when they're fresh ground than when they have been ground for like a year. It's just not the same thing. And so it's a claim I'm making, but it's also like, it's a fact. It's real. It's not just, oh, I'm an awesome, here's my flashy jar. Here's my awesome advertising. Here's my, here's my fluff and guff and nothing hot air. But really what we do is truly better because we treat it with respect.
Yeah. And, thinking about, I'm a mom of three. They can be picky eaters, but they'll be adventurous. They each kind of decide when they want to try something new. It's
Mhm,
different all the time. You never know who's going to be the adventurer, but
mhm.
they're turning into little foodies. So that's fun. But, for families out there, single parents, parents that are working, I know it can be, or if you don't have kids, so you just want to figure out a way to make some healthier meals for yourself. What is, maybe one meal a week, just switching it up a little bit. What can that do to somebody's health, wellness,
Well,
mindset?
that's a good question. So I'm not sure. I know that if you cook from scratch, you get whole ingredients like not frozen any vegetables, not canned vegetables, like fresh vegetables, fresh ingredients. Chances are you're going to be eating better than if somebody that's not. So I don't, because you can control what's in it. There's no like, there's not some weird additives or stuff in it. And I think that, I don't know, like it's hard to say what people like really value, like what they really value out of their food. Like I used to think that maybe our seasoning was good for, it was like, and it's just for anybody. And in some ways it is for anybody, but there's also not everybody appreciates like wanting to cook from scratch or wanting to have something that tastes better, or how does this improve my cooking, or that it's got more, micronutrients in the spices. Like not everybody cares about that. So it's I think the personal choice to change, the mindset changes before you take the step to do it. It's unlikely I'm going to be the catalyst for any sort of like change. I'm just here for people that are ready for something better. That's what
Yeah.
kind of how I view it, and try to be supportive and try to create like these cookbooks and blends that are usable and functional and not, trying to be like, how look how awesome I am.
Yeah. No. And I think where I was going with that question was kind of like if you feel overwhelmed and you're busy and you just don't have
All
time to
right.
really do the meal planning and all
I
that.
think you gotta take, it's like anything. You
Yeah.
have to, like, if you're gonna do anything, you have to stop. Like,
Hmm.
you have to stop and slow down for a second to go, "How do I do this? How do I fix this? How do I make this work better for me?" I think that it can do a lot if you slow down and cook something for yourself. I think it's gonna have a satisfaction that you're not gonna get from store-bought or restaurant-bought foods. And I think if you're in it, especially if you're, conscious about your money situation, then it's definitely gonna impact your money situation if you take time to prepare and cook. Like, if you just gotta take the time on, take your Sunday evening to do your prep work, then do it. If you gotta get up a little bit earlier to get your crock pot going, do it. If you're by yourself, you can put a meal in a crock pot, it can feed you for several days. It's not like it has to be. Some people get like the, variety syndrome where they're like, man, I gotta have something else. It's like, well, do what you did. Cook the pork and then use the pork in each day
Use it.
differently.
Yeah.
Eventually make
Hmm.
it into soup.
Hmm.
You could take a chicken, you could roast a chicken, then you could make like a salad with the chicken, then you could take the bones, you can make soup and the leftover chicken. Like, so there's ways to take that chicken and turn it into multiple things. And I
Yes.
think and I think people just throw up their hands because they feel like maybe they should just know how to cook, and you have to learn how to do it. You have to
Hmm.
take the time to do it. And if you don't, that's just a personal choice, I guess. But
Yeah. And you were talking a little bit about how you're going to build trust with the customer. Are you thinking you're going to start doing some videos to kind of show
okay.
how you're cooking with them
Yes.
or what?
Yes, so my
Okay.
time in Florida was not spent at the beach. I was actually was camping in the Everglades. And so it
Oh,
was really
wow.
peaceful, and I got to see like beautiful stars at night and that kind of thing. And so what I did during that time was kind of use me and my robot, me and my chat GPT. I kind of started out on this talk with I guess with myself kind of. And so we like, how can I focus on building trust? Like, what is it that we can do and how to do that? And so first off, I've identified that doing tutorials is the best way to do it because one, they're spending more time with me. So if right, and then how do I get people to spend more time with me? I need to make sure that I use best practices with making the video. So yes, you have to make something that has a hook, and you have to have retention loops, and you have to follow through with what you say you're going to offer, and you have to have a good thumbnail. Like all of that stuff matters, like
Mhm.
hugely importantly. So it's not something where you can, I don't think you can skip it
Yeah.
unless, unless you have like some naked woman cooking or something like that. You know what I mean? Like it's shock value. Like, no, it's not. I'm not trying to have shock value. What we're trying to do is show people value to go like, this is how you do it. And so we're going back to focusing on a technique. So it's not a whole meal. It's like, how do you do brine a chicken breast and sear it so it's juicy? We're doing stuff like that. So that can be applied to all kinds of meals. It can be applied
Yes.
to any chicken breast meal that you make.
Mm.
And that is useful. And that is an it's a skill that is teachable and it's learnable and you get better at it. And so we talk
Mhm.
about the tools that you need. So we'll actually in the future videos, we'll have like links to the tools that I'm using. So that way, if you're like, well, I really want to do
Yes.
this to mess my ability, here are the tools, links to the seasoning. And then there's also going to be links to blog posts on our website that have like the whole recipe, whole like technique and talk
Nice.
about it as well. So you could stop, you can watch the video and then you can go back to our website and like read it, go through it and do it and have everything you need to accomplish the preparation of the chicken. And so
And I don't know why I need to say this, but it came to mind.
what?
The boys and I are watching Forrest Gump, and it's such a
Mhm.
long movie. So we're doing it in small batches. So I'm thinking, you know, chicken with rice, chicken with gumbo,
Right?
chicken with,
Shrimp. It's totally that. And
yes.
it's just variations. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you learn how to like the skill of cutting an onion,
Mm-hmm.
you can use in any soup. Right. And but if you don't know how to cut an onion,
Right.
it's kind of hard to make soup.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, or
Yep.
you're buying it pre-cut and then it's not as good. And then
Mhm. It's slimy and gross, and it only has
it's,
a
uh,
day or two, and it's going to be bad. Yeah. No.
it's gonna be bad. And cutting, so knife skills are important. So these are
Yes.
things that we are
And
kind of starting
safety.
to. We're looking
You're going
right.
to teach that safety too, because people need to learn how to do that
You know
well.
what they told me in culinary school? You know the best way not to cut yourself?
And cut yourself.
No.
Learn.
Well, there's that too. And don't put your finger under the knife. That's what they said. And I was like, well, that seems very obvious. But that's what they said is like, I was like, I guess they're being sarcastic, maybe.
I'm sure it happens a lot.
It does in the kitchen because
Yeah.
it's high speed, it's sharp,
Yes. Yes.
you're
You're
trying to
trying to
pay.
look like you're on TV.
Oh, nobody's trying to look like they're on TV when they're in the kitchen. I mean, if they are, then everybody's, well, if you're in an open kitchen, I guess, like, yes. If you're in an
Yeah.
open kitchen, you want it to look professional and you want to be like
Hmm.
professional at it. But
Yeah.
I
No,
get
it's
that.
not safe unless you know what you're doing.
Right? No, everybody cuts themselves. Like,
Hmm.
if you're in a kitchen and you're using a knife and you haven't cut yourself like that doesn't happen.
Hmm.
Everybody cuts themselves
At some point.
eventually,
Yeah.
and everybody cuts themselves bad eventually.
Mm,
Like, this happens.
that's no
It's just
fun.
an
But it's
accident.
good. You got to realize that it happens to the best of them. So
Right, it's
just keep
not
going.
right. The thing is I think people, I like to compare those cooking shows with things like sports.
Hmm.
Like, just because this person is on TV and doing this thing and it's entertainment, like, that's the same thing as saying, like, the Super Bowl is entertainment. It
Hmm.
doesn't mean that you shouldn't go for a walk. It
Right.
doesn't mean that you shouldn't ride your bike. It doesn't mean
Hmm.
that you can't enjoy some sort of physical activity. It just means they have
Hmm.
dedicated their life to this in a way that you haven't.
Right.
It shouldn't, and I think people think, well, if I can't do it like that, then I shouldn't do it. Well, that's just silly because that's like
Yeah.
perfectionist attitude. It's like you're not ever trying to compare yourself to them is kind of, I'm going to say it's arrogant. It's like, how would
Yeah.
you ever be as good as they are with the amount of time and effort you put in? There's no way that you could ever be that good unless you put that time and effort in and focus in.
So you never know. There might be a couple of future chefs listening in.
Okay. Just be aware that your life will be run by it if you work in the kitchens. Just be aware that
Mm.
it's all encompassing if you really want to do it.
Yeah. And if you got to love what you do, right? And there are different ways that you can love food.
Yes. I'm definitely learning that. I'm learning how to be myself and learning how to be a different version of myself and becoming the best teacher because I think that that's where we add that trust is showing the step by step and being the teacher and me taking the time to be better at making videos is going to build that trust as well. Not just for
Mhm.
the fact that it's going to help me get more reach, but that people are going to recognize that I have put in the time to make sure that what I'm saying has clarity and is interesting and intriguing. People want that. People don't they want to be entertained and educated at the same time.
Yes. So,
Yes.
speaking of, can you tell people more about where to find the Lucky Cajun online and all of your offerings?
Okay, so our YouTube channel is Lucky Cajun Seasoning. Our website is theluckycajun.com, and that's where all the seasonings that you talked about, the Greek, I guess you have, and the jalapeno and the black label are all on there. There's recipes on there. We also have a newsletter called The Skillet. So we just basically post the the videos on there and the blogs on there, and then we share the spices and stuff. But we're trying to still work on that on how we can improve the skillet. But yeah, that's basically where we're on other channels. But right now, I'm just promoting the YouTube channel because I feel like that's going to have the most value
Hmm.
in the direction that we're going in. I mean, we are on Instagram and we are on YouTube, but Facebook, but like we're just focusing on YouTube right now for sure.
Yeah. And you can do so much with Facebook these days. And people are going out to Facebook. It's like billions of people are going out to Facebook every day with a
Yes.
question. So if you can answer how to make a quick
Yes.
meal
That's
taste
what I
good,
That's what I'm
that's going to be
saying.
great.
No,
Yep.
are you talking about YouTube or Facebook?
YouTube.
Right, okay. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
It's
good.
going to be great. And then
It
you
is
can
great.
repurpose. You can repurpose that content
We
for all the
already
other
are gonna
socials.
be doing that, like, I'm gonna ask we've
Yeah.
already done a few podcasts, and we've repurposed those as, like, shorts and stuff, so
Yes.
everything can become extra ways to reach more people, like, with shorts and stuff like
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah. And there's just so many cooks out there, home cooks, who need a little inspiration. So I think, if nothing else, this will be a reminder for everybody out there that you can make a fresh tasting, yummy meal,
Yes.
multiple times
At
a week if
home
you want at
at
home
home that
for
that could taste better,
less.
it can cost less and be better for you. Like, I don't know, like, so if
Yeah.
you wanna trade all that, learning how to cook, you can't trade it for anything else. Like, a lot of things you can be like, "Well, if I do this, I don't have to do this." Like, but you trading convenience? It's never gonna be as good.
Yeah.
Like, and if it does taste better than a home cooked meal, it's gonna be really expensive. So it's like,
Hmm. And that's something I'm teaching my boys right now. They'll say, "These pancakes don't taste as good as yours." And I'm like, "I know, because what I do is different and it's scratch made. So let's remember that the next
and
time
it's
you want to get that at the store versus what we do at
what
home." But
mom makes, right.
yeah, but they've
It's
got to
true.
also learn their own skills, and I want to, pass that on. So they're definitely requesting your spices like your son did. So that's,
That's what I'm
it's going to
saying.
continue. Hmm. Yeah,
And people really won't, I don't think they'll really understand if they haven't had fresh ground spices before, they won't experience that until they try it, and they'll get it. They'll get what we're talking about. Right now, it's just kinda like
that's right.
this concept. It's like, "What do you mean, how could it taste different?" Well, it does. It just does.
Yeah. So I'll make sure all that connection information to your website is in the show
Awesome.
notes. Do you have any final thoughts for our listeners and viewers out there?
I think that, we were talking this show is about slowing down to speed up so you can get more momentum, and I think that with cooking, it's just you don't have to do everything slow cooked. but you can step back and take a moment to figure out how you can bring that into your life. And it's not hard unless you don't put aside the time to do it. And so you're going to have to eat anyways. You're going to be having to eat for the rest of your life, right? So you might as well know how to feed yourself well. You might as well be able to enjoy cooking and be able to share meals with people you care about, your friends, your family, and people you work with. Because why not? You don't want to be the person that brings those frozen rolls to every meal. You don't want to be the person, right? You don't want to be that guy.
No judgment. There's no
No
judgment there.
judgment, no judgment. That's okay if that's all you want to do.
But we can teach you how to make it better. You could probably put some of your spices in a butter to make that better for the
You
frozen.
could, right? Exactly. You can mix a little Greek out with some
Mhm.
butter and you have some Greek butter rolls. Well, thank you.
It was a great conversation. Thank you for being here. Chef Blackwell, thank you so much for joining us on Go Slow to Go Fast and for this conversation, for the care, the intention, and the integrity that you bring to your craft. Your story is a reminder that slowing down in the kitchen isn't about doing more. It's about doing things well. For everyone listening, I hope this episode inspires you to look at cooking not just as another task to rush through, but as an opportunity to reconnect with your food, with your people, and yourself. You'll find links to Lucky Cajun and everything we discussed in the show notes. Join us next time for more conversations that help us live with intention and remember what matters. The light in me honors the light in you. And as you head into the rest of your week, let your light shine through. Go slow to go fast, and thanks for listening.